this is very reminiscent of Rodney King. Looking back at it, I want to talk about Rodney King for a little while. I know we've discussed it in the past, but this may be a perfect time to do it because of this situation. But take yourself back to 1991, 1992, when you saw that footage of Rodney King being beat, very similar to what we just saw last week with Tyree Nichols.
I just thought I had, it was no way in the world I thought them cops would get off. No way in the world. No, I'm sitting there watching the trial. That was probably one of the first times I did not leave the TV. I watched that trial from the first gavel to the last. And to see them cops get off, I'm like, what? They did what? And the whole time they beating Rodney King, they tell him to hold still. Man, your body has natural reaction, just like a reflex. When you get hit, your body's gonna respond. It's gonna be some flinch, it's gonna be some jumping. And they wasn't trying to subdue him, they were just trying to whoop him. That's the whole. It was no attempt to really subdue him. They just wanted to beat him. They figured they had a good spot. It was dark, wasn't nobody around. They could whoop his ass and get away with it. Just so happened, homeboy had his VHS camera hanging out the window and caught the whole thing on tape. And see them cops get away with it, man, was just very disheartening. And as you know from there, the whole damn city did not agree with that decision. And it felt like the 1800s, man. When you see somebody hang a brother in a tree, all of a sudden everybody gets to go home, no consequences. And it felt bad right after the verdict. But right after the verdict, the streets lit up. So we got diverted from one thing to another. And I remember that very, very vividly, dude. I was at my cousin's. I just bought me some new tires for my van. Just left the tire shop at my cousin's house to see what he was up to. And on the way home, they were talking about the ride. I said, I could have saved my money and got these tires for free. Shit. Anyway, I don't participate in shit like that, man. I'm sorry. I call me a square, whatever. I don't go out and do no riding and shit like that because I don't know. I just never was one of them kind of cats, man. I just don't do that.
Yeah. I don't see you running out of Foot Locker with a bag of Nikes. You definitely don't give off that vibe.
Getting shot over no damn tennis shoes. Trust me. That ain't what I'm gonna do.
It ain't happening. Something that doesn't get talked about a lot, going back to Rodney King, was something that happened just before that the city was very, very upset about. And that is, I hope I'm saying her name right, LATASHA HARLINS. And for anyone who doesn't remember 1992, 91, 92, she was the little black girl who went into a Korean-owned store, and she supposedly stole something, got into a fight with the Korean lady, and once LATASHA turned around to walk out or leave the store, the lady shot her in the back of the head, and I do believe she only got probation.
She got probation. That liquor store was on my auntie's corner store. I've been to the store a few times as a kid myself. Right off of Figueroa, and I'm trying to figure out how a bottle of orange juice, and find out she didn't steal it. That was the cold part. She didn't even steal it. It was a hassle, and at that time, back then, that's when they had the store started to change from one group to another. And the new group coming in had a different attitude. They had a real funky attitude for a long time. And that situation right there caused a lot of havoc because ain't nowhere in the world you can shoot nobody in the back of the head and go home. Probation my ass. I don't care how old she was. She's supposed to go to jail. If I ain't mistaken, I think Johnny Cochran was her lawyer. If I ain't mistaken.
Was whose lawyer?
The Asian lady.
What?
The Korean, if I ain't mistaken, take a look at it. Look it up.
Lawyers are lawyers. Lawyers are lawyers.
Look it up. If I ain't mistaken, Johnny was her lawyer, and that's why she got off. Okay, with probation. I could be wrong.
Black lawyer.
She got the best. Okay, and that was one. That was a sad situation. Isaiah's N.W.A was Johnny her lawyer. Take a look before
I'm gonna look it up while you're talking. Nope, I got it. While we're talking, I'm gonna look it up.
What's the name? John Kim or something like that? I forgot her name. I don't know. I can't think of it. I know it was. I don't know. See who her lawyer was first though. I don't know. I do know Johnny was involved. Okay.
That's crazy. That's the first I'm hearing of that. But I'm looking it up, and my computer's going slow. But as we wait for that to pull up, Los Angeles, a cock confirmed found in. Oh no, it's just blah blah blah. Stearns, Kim Goldman. All right, I'll look it up later. But going back to police, the city of Compton went from Compton police to Los Angeles sheriffs. Do you know why they did that? Was there a lot of fraud going on? Were they just not doing their job? Was the city too out of control? And did the sheriffs make things better or worse?
You know, I was going through some of my old shows, from Issues in the Hood, a public access show I had in Compton. And when that issue came before the city council, I was on television back then in Compton. I was looking at the video, and I had me and my cousin talked about it, but me and Omar had a conversation about it as well. Omar Bradley was the mayor of Compton at the time, and there was a lot of animosity, a lot of hatred between City Hall and the police. There was so much. It was a lot of people were claiming that cops were working with some of the gangbangers. It was just all kind of accusations going back and forth. Nothing ever got proved to my knowledge. There was supposed to have been drugs found in police lockers. Man, it was just all kind of stuff going back and forth. And it was a super crazy, man. It was just super crazy. And it was really a heavy time for everybody because Compton was real dark then, dude. It was the gangs and drugs was everywhere. And it just, the accusations of corruption was flying around. Nobody went to jail that I know of. I think what sealed the deal was when a gun that was confiscated in Compton ended up shooting a cop in Long Beach. A gun that was confiscated in Compton ended up shooting, or was involved in a shooting. I ain't gonna say a cop, ended up being involved in a shooting in Long Beach. And that gave a ton of evidence that there was some kind of leak in the system, and they felt it was good. They felt it was best to bring the sheriff in. And that even all that right there it wasn't even a vote. I think it was a city council situation to do away with the sheriff. And for years, man, oh my God, it was a big movement to try to bring the Compton PD back and get rid of the sheriff. And I can't say the sheriff has always been much better. The sheriff came in with a lot more resources. That's for damn sure. One of the first captains was Cecil Rambo. He came on my show and introduced himself to the people of Compton, and we became friends after that because he seemed like a very fair dude. Okay, he currently runs the airport in the LAX. He's a sheriff. He moved from Compton, became the Compton city manager. Went on to I think he went back to the sheriff for a while, came Compton for city manager, Carson assistant city manager. Now he's running the airport, and we've been under the sheriff jurisdiction ever since then. And it just even in some administrations, there's been animosity between City Hall and the sheriff department. And now it's a little bit different. I just had a meeting recently with the new sheriff, brother named Terrence Bell, and he seemed to be super cool for, a cop. But for a cop, you learn after a while, man, cops is brothers too. And for the most part, if you talk to them, if you come in there in the wrong way, and I don't care whether it's a cop or security guard, it could be a cop or a security guard. You can find yourself in an adversarial situation. And I've never presented myself like that. And I was able to talk to the sheriff, got a good vibe from him. Seemed like he's trying to make some things happen, make some changes. And that's all you can ask for, man. He do his job in a fair manner. I'm trying to get him on my show, on the show. He got to get a clearance first. But I've talked to him, and I've met most of the sheriffs that came through Compton. Most of them seem to be pretty cool, but every once in a while, sometimes some people just don't give you a good vibe, okay? I'm very vibe sensitive to people. I could be with you, I could be around you for a minute and pick up a certain kind of vibe, and I could be wrong, but I might not want to mess with you. Just simple as that. I just don't feel comfortable with you. I'm very vibe sensitive. Okay.
Yeah, that Gemini intuition.
And it works both ways. You and I vibe from the first minute we talked. From the first minute we met till now, we still vibing today. So, you know, if I feel it, we can work. If I don't feel it, nah, I'm gonna pass on this one right here.